I don't get physical. I don't get physical. I don't get physical. I don't get physical. One, two, one.
Guten Morgen, my dear friends and family. Technically, it's not morgen anymore. It's past midday here in Germany. But you know what we say, when the morning is when you wake up, generally. So, happy coffee, everyone. Gryffindor. Today we will review some of the recent updates, all right, and we will also get a bit more acquainted with the so-called popular Russian music, specifically some of the most popular Russian artists, those who support the Russian atrocious invasion of Ukraine, those who don't support, because there are such people, and you will be impressed, by the way. To make things easier for you, we will not play any of their shit, all right? I will save your sanity today. So, Newman, hello, my friend. Thank you so much for protecting us, all right, this morning, this afternoon. Russo Jab, Jamie, and Ben, and Totally Insane, Onerpa, and I'll need coffee. Hello, my friend. Here we have coffee, and Gavin, and Linda, Santu, and Totally Insane. Hello, my dear friends. So good to see you. All right, let's check out some of the recent updates that some of the events that already happened tonight, because we had some spectacular explosions in Saratov. Go!
Идите молча, а я у окна лежу. О, взорвалась.
Oh, something exploded.
Твою мать! Вау! Это что сейчас было? Я в шоке.
Guys, just so you could understand, they're not scared, and I shit you not. They're like, wow, look at that. Miroslav, guten Morgen. They are not scared, actually. They are impressed to see that. Oh my god, beautiful fireworks over the Russian oil refinery. Like, I'm serious. The dudes recording this, they are like impressed to see that so much. I mean, they should of course get used to that, right? But what we know is that tonight a bunch of good Ukrainian drones not only hit the Russian Saratov oil refinery one more time, but also made it a bit further, all right? They were launched tonight, and only this morning they arrived to their destination, which was far, far away. We will talk about it in just a minute. Luke is joining us, as well as Steve and Croupier and 91 Planets. Hello, my dear friends. Rek, woohoo! Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, so we have several. They like. Look, something is burning. Something is burning. Yeah, the Russian future is burning, my dear friends. What can I say? The dude is like The dude reminds me of a stalker, you know, like not the Chernobyl stalker, like a telephone stalker. You know, when somebody calls you and you pick up the phone and he goes, you know, like that. Yeah, so we see some impressive fires over there. I like what I see. And immediately after this one, my friend, I would like to show some of the Russian cringe in action, all right? So in the area of Donetsk Oblast, some of the Russian occupiers decided to show his friend tanker bravely going into the battle, all right? He decided to record a video of his good buddy. And what he recorded wasn't really what he expected, all right? Yay! Yeah, Gorinich is going into battle.
Охуеть!
So he actually helped his friend Gorinich very much, because this can actually serve as a proof that his friend actually became a better person. And why it's important is because the wife of Gorinich can actually use this record to prove that he wasn't just missing in action, but he actually was KIA on the Ukrainian soil, so she generally can expect her Lada. All right, this was fast. This was unexpected. I didn't see that coming. Good morning, Guntel Gokeli. All right, this one, and Kiwi also. Hello, Kia ora. This one was unexpected. All right, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'd like to see more of that. In Ulyanovsk, that's again, we're continuing the topic of the Russian cringe. In Ulyanovsk Oblast, the mobile internet was shut down until the very end of the so-called Russian special coping operation. It is reported that in several regions of Ulyanovsk, that's the one that Sophia mentioned, by the way, Ulyanovsk. Horrible place. In several regions of Ulyanovsk and the Oblast of Ulyanovsk, the mobile internet doesn't work for already a week, all right? And according to the local media, this shutdown was introduced without any specific due date, all right? So basically they say that you will not have mobile internet until the very end of the Russian SMO. The Russian officials explained this with the necessity to protect Russian strategic objects and living quarters, and also Russians are very upset that now they cannot use even online banking and also different state services that are not available without Wi-Fi anymore. So I believe that the Russian war goes according to the plan, all right? Russians can enjoy things like that now. And because we will see expanding strikes of good Ukrainian drones over the Russian objects across the territory of the terrorist federation, we will see more of that. We will see that eventually this internet might disappear in Kursk, in Bryansk, in Belgorod, Rostov, Krasnodar, all that stuff. We will probably see that happening, and again, the Russians will be so fucking happy. According to Robert Fico, just to remind you, all right, this man currently working as a prime minister of Slovakia, this man in approximately 2016, according to the leaked information, was gonna give up the national Slovakian assets to Russia, literally just for free, just have them like our Slovakian oil and gas infrastructure, just have it, all right? There you go. Why not? So he said that the war in Ukraine will last at least 2 more years if the European Union adopts or approves the reparational credits that will be used based on the frozen Russian assets, all right? So he is predicting 2 more years of war, which is, by the way, very, very optimistic, all right? Let's be honest, because Russia is able to send more and more troops into those metasols, and they can still find, all right? They can still find orcs to do that. So he says that Slovakia will never participate in any legislational or financial program related to using Russian frozen assets to support Ukrainian military expenditures. This dude literally admits that he's a Russian spy. He literally admits this. Between the lines, you might actually read that he says, yes, I love Russian rubles so much, so I will defend the Russian terrorists as much as possible until I fucking die, or at least until I stop getting paid from Kremlin. Literally, like that's what you can read between the lines. It's not in the text though, but you can literally hear that, all right? And continuing the topic of the Russian cringe, this one is absolutely amazing, and this update comes from the Russian city of Orsk. Russian naming is so beautiful. I just admire this, my friends. So beautiful Russian city of Orsk. And by the way, if you remember, there was a big Russian ship called Orsk, right, in the Black Sea. It was like traveling around the Black Sea, causing Ukrainians problems before it was shut down using a Ukrainian naval drone. So in the beautiful city of Orsk, the local media actually reports he died trying to prove he's alive. All right. So in spring, his friends recognized him as a deceased person. All right. They were shown a body. They recognized this body as him. All right. And basically the Russian ZAX, which is like a registration office, all right, officially released the death certificate. So for half a year, which is freaking crazy. It's like you're considered dead, you cannot make a bank account, you cannot do anything. The only thing you can in Russia, if you're recognized as dead, is you can vote, all right? Actually, you can vote for Putin, because that is something that we can see every single time when there's election of Putin in Russia. If you're dead, you can definitely vote, but only for Putin. For half a year, this poor Russian dude from Orsk was visiting all sorts of different Russian establishments, trying to prove that he's alive, trying to return his civil rights and everything else, because again, you're dead, you cannot freaking do anything with your utilities and things like that. Your property gets disseminated, all right, among different people, not necessarily your relatives, but anyways. So he spent half a year trying to prove Russians that he's alive, and in October he died one more time, but this time for real. That is Russian bureaucracy. Again, Tucker Carlson would be so impressed, all right? Dear Americans, we have to be more like Russians. We have to be, yeah. Another interesting update came from Syria this time. And you remember that just this year, last month, the Syrian president actually visited Russia. Then he was interviewed by the Fox News just recently, all right? And it turns out that current president of Syria, Ahmed al-Shara, actually wants to bring Bashar Assad to justice, all right, for his crimes against his own people.
We understand that your predecessor, Bashar al-Assad, is living well in Moscow.
Which he does. Actually, what Putin is doing currently is he providing Bashar Assad with political asylum, with all this stuff. He has a lot of property, all right, in Russia. He has several very, very much expensive apartments in the terrorist federation. His whole family lives perfectly fine there. But one thing is that he is asked not to show up on public, all right? So that's the thing. Zoe Victor, good day, доброго дня, дуже вам дякую, дуже вдячний за те, що ви завітали на мій канал. Приєднуйтесь, якщо розмовляєте англійською, дуже радий. Це наш канал, присвячений нашій міжнародній аудиторії прихильників України. So we have a guest from Ukraine in the chat. Returning to Bashar Assad, this dude is actually asked not to show up on public for obvious reasons, same as former Ukrainian dictator Yanukovych, who is literally, brought up from time to time from closet, like a freaking old pair of pants, and just shown on public that he's still alive, all right? So Bashar Assad is actually wanted in Syria at this point, as far as I can tell.
As far as we know, he is not suffering. He is not facing justice. What is your administration doing to ensure that at some point he faces consequences for the atrocities against the Syrian people?
And that is a very, very good question, because if I was this new Syrian president, that would be the first thing that I would do, actually. All right. Fact is, I really wished Ukrainian government put more effort into prosecuting the criminals who were shooting Ukrainian protesters during the Revolution of Dignity, all that stuff, because again, there's a lot of, I would say, among the people who actually were there, there's quite some dissatisfaction regarding that. But this is like a very, very interesting case. Again, this dude actually went to Russia. And the cringiest moment about this was that only last year, for example, Russians, when talking about this, I bet Starsky is a flannel sheet guy. I don't know. I have no idea. I would tell you if I was. Only last year, all sorts of Russian media were calling him terrorist. They were like glorifying the Wagnerites fighting against the Syrian rebels. And when he went to Kremlin, actually a lot of Russian degenerates and the patriots, they looked at that and they said, the hell is that? Like, he's a terrorist, right? Why is he shaking hands with our glorious Tsar? While other Russian propagandists, they actually said, yes, he was considered a terrorist, yes, Putin shakes hands with him, sorry, Huilo, and this is the thing, like, he's a strategist, he knows what he's doing, my friends. Don't ask questions, all right? He's our Tsar. In Russia, you don't ask questions, generally speaking. So that was kind of cringy moment. But on the other hand, what are we talking about if Russia is literally inviting Taliban? They removed Taliban from the list of the terrorist organizations officially. And remember, like, the cringiest moment that we had was when Russian media published that beautiful article titled "Russia will help Taliban fight terrorism in Afghanistan." That one was good. All right, so let's hear what he has to say.
I mean, Russia has participated in one way or another in the war against the people of Syria. So part of the negotiations that took place with Syria is that those who are wanted should be surrendered to Syria, including Bashar al-Assad.
Which is very interesting, actually, and I don't know. I have like mixed feelings because, first of all, this dude, he has very, very shady background, all right? He was basically a leader of one of the branches of Al-Qaeda, basically, all right? On the other hand, we see that he actually had some guts to go to Russia, to Moscow, all right, and actually demand from Putin to give out Bashar Assad to the new Syrian government. That's interesting.
Russians have a different opinion. However, justice must prevail. We have established a justice commission or traditional justice commission so that everyone can be held accountable for what they.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. And again, looking at that, I can already predict. I can already predict what the Russian propagandists will say. They will say traitors, backstabbers, Syrians, those backstabbers. Today in Germany, Carnival started. Maybe there is a connection, of course. Syria exchanged a dictator with religious terrorists. I feel sorry for the Syrian people. I can agree on that, of course. Again, we will see. Not a lot we can say so far, because I don't follow Syrian updates very much, and I cannot tell you, all right, like if the life improved or not in Syria after this man became new Syrian leader. So, like, I cannot say. All right. One thing that I noticed was when he refused to shake hands with some of the female representatives recently. Yeah, that is suspicious, of course. So we will tell, all right, in a while. I don't really see Syria turning into something like Afghanistan right now, where Talibs are absolutely atrocious. Like they don't allow music, internet, television, basically anything. Like those are religious terrorists 100%. This one, I don't know much. And actually, I don't see them turning into the Talib regime. But again, we will see. We will see how it's going to turn. again, let's look at Iran, all right? So when they had the Islamic Revolution, everybody thought that the life will be better, like the previous corrupted regime removed and everything else. Like, that is a true example of what the Islamic terrorism looks like, all right? Because eventually we all saw what this led to. Greg, Starsky has to do an Aussie New Zealand trip. Absolutely, I will. I need to meet my relatives there, and I will do that 100% sometime in the future. Returning to the Russian cringe, all right, so let's check out. Wait a second. Just a bit. All right, because I might lose this question. Oh my God. How does this thing work? Now you are known. I am not famous. First of all, there are people with millions subscribers and followers, Jake Pro and people like that. They are famous. All right. So Russians definitely see us as a threat. All right. Responding to your question, they definitely see us as a threat. And 100% they don't have good intentions to people like me and other people, again, Jake Bro and everything else, but I am even comparably to Jake Bro, I am not that important. So I don't think that I need to increase my security level. On the other hand, though, you know, I don't want to. I don't really feel like increasing security level for whatever reason. Russian cringe. Let's hear this Russian imbecile here recording the video before meeting Ukrainian drone.
Если кто-то увидит это видео, надеюсь, не знаю, что делать, радейка села.
If somebody sees this video, I don't know what to do, my radio died. I feel so sorry, dude, but this is what you deserve.
Ни связи, ничего, пока была ни еды, ни воды.
The dude is wearing 5'11" hat. Really? Yeah, so basically he's nagging that they don't have food, they don't have water, and he probably, all right, he's just a bit, like a tiny bit sorry about going to Ukraine at this point, but I don't think that it's gonna help him because you had brain to think before signing, all right?
Ничего. Ёбаная пятерка, ёбаные в командовании, ёбаные хохлы, столько трупов по дороге.
He's like, fucking command, fucking пятерка. Пятерка is 5th, whatever, 5th Brigade, 5th Army, 5th, I don't know, 5th SO, alright. He's like, fucking Ukrainians, fucking you, dude. Literally, like, you had your life in Russia, seriously. You had your life in Russia. You were drinking vodka with your guys, right? Or like a window washing clean liquid. You had life. You could literally sleep in your bed, all right? And wake up the next day alive in your fucking Russia. And now look at you, you're like crawled under some freaking tree log. Look at those fucking eyes. The dude is looking in the sky constantly because he's not 16, Steve. He's like, I don't know. Judging from what I see, he can be like in his late 20s. Yeah, and now the dude is like lying down under some freaking tree log, looking into the sky and thinking, shit, I could be waking up today, all right, somewhere in Ulyanovsk with some, I don't know, person by my side have vodka, watch TV, go to job, all right, everything would be perfect. Why does he blame Ukrainians for that? I have no idea. But again, that's Russian mentality. He's like, fucking Ukrainians, fucking you.
Ногу въебало, либо сброс, либо яичко.
So he got injured in his leg. What can I say again? In Ukrainian we have this saying, і жалько мені вас, хлопці, але так вам і треба. I feel pity for you guys, but that's what you fucking deserve.
Не знаю. Уже, наверное, неделю. Блин, очень есть охота.
He's like, I want to eat for a whole week. Really? You could eat every day in your Усть-Пиздюйск and everything would be freaking fine.
Трупов много, много очень.
He says, many bodies around. What else did you expect? This is exactly the way how your amazing, glorious Russian army is fighting. They send shitbags like you into the meat waves, hoping that you will die. What else did you expect? Did you watch too much Russian Spetsnaz movies or something? Oh my god.
Листва опала, прятать негде.
So there's no leaves anymore, so there's nowhere to hide from Ukrainian drones. Yeah. Welcome to the real life.
Не знаю, куда идти, ни деревни, ничего не вижу.
He's like, I don't know where to go, I don't see any village, I don't see anything. But on the other hand, dude, where will you go? Like, get real, you will return back to your positions where you will be literally ordered to return. It's not like you will go back and they will tell you, oh, you suffered so much, you can go home. No, it's not how it works.
Ягод нет, нихуя нету.
No berries, no fucking shit. He's starving, actually. Well, that I can relate to, alright, I'm always hungry, but... Ukrainian berries, dude, did you fucking pay for them?
Куда бежать? Как прятаться? Надеюсь, выживу, блядь.
He's like, I don't know where to run, I don't know where to hide, I hope I will survive. Well, the hope dies last, what can I say?
Сука.
He's like, he hears the drone approach and he's like, suka, like... Oh my god, what can I say? Dude, you can sit on your Armata tank and gloriously return to Russia, alright? Or a donkey. Whatever. Looking at those poor bastards. Again, I'm not a heartless bastard myself, I feel pity, but they deserve it, alright? They deserve it so bad. I'm not sure if this video may serve as a proof for his wife, right? That he became a better person because we didn't see the result. Maybe it was like that, you know, maybe the video cut instantly. But if his family receives that video, it may sound as a confirmation that the war goes exactly according to plan. Alright, so what do we see here? We can see current Russian attempts, alright. Yesterday they tried to approach Pokrovsk using fog. We can see Russians using, like, that is literally, oh my god. Using bikes, going on foot, trying to get to the city, to the town. That's literally Mad Max, seriously, oh my god. So that is basically the second army of the world, just if you didn't recognize it, alright. I don't see much BTRs and BMPs, maybe it's because they burned, all right. And we can see that they were trying to enter the Pokrovsk, near Gnativka. Again, looking at Pokrovsk, we all understand that it's not a big city. It's actually like a large village, right? Looks like straight out of Stephen King's The Fog. Snow chains, 100%. Holy shit, my friend, that's exactly the thing, all right? The Mist. The book was called, The Mist, and like there's this magic mist, all right, from the parallel reality where all sorts of like monsters and creatures are coming from. Yeah, that's a very good analogy. So Ukrainian defenders actually published a bunch of videos showing this army of Mordor getting improved, all right, by good Ukrainian drones. As you can see, those bikes didn't really help them. And all right, I will show just what I can show, all right, just in case, because you know YouTube can be very savage these days. Here on the road you can see basically plenty of Russian fertilizer that became better, as well as their bikes, all that stuff. So yeah, welcome to Ukraine, suka. We have good update coming from Germany, by the way. So the German government wants to increase the defense aid to Ukraine to approximately 11.5 billion euro next year. The representatives of the German government stated that the additional finances will be directed at artillery, UAVs, armored vehicles, and also for replacement of 2 Patriot air defense systems. Yay! So the final review of this bill, of this decision, will be performed on Thursday, so basically in 2 days. Of course, you can already tell that we know the people who will be opposing that. We know that AfD will receive direct order from their masters to literally just oppose this decision as much as they can, but they will fail, all right. What else do we have? We have several updates coming from Orenburg, and this one is the hell is that? Wait a minute. Orsk, yeah. So we have some additional Ukrainian drones.
Дрон! Офигеть!
Of course it's a drone, dude. Come on. So additional Ukrainian drones were spotted over Orsk, as you can see, apparently because Orsk didn't have enough. Orenburg Oblast, 1,400 kilometers from Ukraine's border. We can see another peacefully flying, happy Ukrainian drone. Again, Orsk.
Начинается война.
The boys go like, the war starts.
No.
Boys,
Сбивают!
you don't know.
Начинается.
And one great reminder, my friends. Exactly 3 years ago, the city of Kherson was liberated from the Russian degenerates. Guys, I'm reading the commentaries at the same time. Like, one eye is looking at the screen, the other eye is trying to read everything. Matyas, drone, блядь. Yeah, absolutely. 3 years ago, my dear friends, the city of Kherson was liberated. The city of Kherson was the only major city captured by Russians since the very beginning of this invasion. All right. Unfortunately, it was captured rapidly because the Russian positions were very, very close to Kherson. Right. The Russian dislocation, the Russian troops, the brigades that invaded Kherson, took them several hours together and basically take control over the city. For 8 months, the citizens of Kherson suffered under the Russian occupation. But again, we've seen a lot of pro-Ukrainian protests there. Ukrainian grandmas actually telling the Russian soldiers to carry seeds, all right, sunflower seeds in their fucking pockets. And 8 months after the occupation, after all sorts of atrocities, kidnappings, torturing Ukrainian citizens, and all that craziness, all right, that took place in that city, it was liberated by Ukrainian forces. Early in the morning, the citizens of Kherson woke up and realized that there are no more Russian orcs in the city anymore. And they were meeting Ukrainian troops coming to Kherson. All those happy people, I don't know, I can imagine the emotions, all right, emotions that day. People walking to the streets, they had no electricity, again, as far as I can tell. And you see that they are absolutely crazily happy to see Ukrainian liberators returning back. And that, my dear friends, was the only major city, not the biggest ones, not the biggest one, by the way, that Russians actually controlled for a while. And of course, they couldn't even keep the control over the city. As of today, after almost 4 years of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the world's second most powerful army, according to some people, still doesn't have control over even a single major city of Ukraine. What are the major cities of Ukraine? We're talking about the oblast centers, all right? For example, that is like, imagine Russians invading, for example, United States and taking control over tiny towns or villages with population of 7,000 people, 10,000 people, 40,000 people, all right? But they never take anything like Philadelphia, like New York, you know, they control over only the tiny ones because that is the maximum of their capacity. That is the maximum of what they're capable of, all right? And the same with Kherson. The Russian terrorists don't have control over anything. I don't know how to call it. Anything significant. Significant is the word. I'm sorry, I need more coffee in the morning. And when the Russians are saying about the amazing fucking progress of the Russian army, please remind them that in 2022, Russia controlled 28% of Ukraine's territory. In 2025, they control barely 19%. How is that possible? I don't know. But they also don't control any major city. Of course, they will tell you that Bakhmut, all right, 7 miles across, that's actually a big city, I can say. 7 kilometers across, right? Bakhmut, Mariupol, yeah, those are cities, I agree. Every Ukrainian city is important. Not a single major city is taken. Just a tiny reminder to all the supporters of the Russian terrorism and all the sane people, all right? So, with that, I think it's a good idea to take a puff and talk about Russian musicians. Because yesterday I thought about this one. Danilo, hello, my dear friends. I thought about this yesterday, and I actually compiled just a tiny list of Russian musicians that I want to discuss. Again, we will not be playing this shit today. All right, we will not, because I want to save your sanity. Wondering what pushback has been diplomatic, blah blah, or talk of sanctions. Diplomatic blah blah, all right. That's what I see and hear all the time. Yes, we will talk about this one, 100%. That greedy character is in my list. We have to discuss this one. But besides this one, we will also discuss a bunch of others. They are, like, you need to see them, all right? And also, we will see some of the cringiest moments in the history of the Russian stage, where Russian Barbara Streisand / Whitney Houston actually turned out she doesn't support the Russian atrocious invasion of Ukraine, and now she's considered like one of the outcasts. We will talk about this one, like scandals, intrigues, all that stuff. We will talk about it today because it's very, very interesting. The Chinese vehicles, we will not see anything changed much, all right? I don't think so. Oil, maybe. Chinese vehicles. Chinese vehicles are not as important as Chinese parts for the drones. I tell you that. That's the biggest problem. And not only Chinese parts, but generally Chinese drones for the Russian terrorists, Chinese intelligence, Chinese satellites, all that jazz. All right, I'm gonna just take a sip, take a puff, and we will continue, all right? Ellie is in the chat. Ellie, why don't you sleep? It's so late in your area. Please. I'm known as memorable company, not necessarily good, depending upon whose side you're on. When I was young, there was a tattoo as a banger. I thought they were cool, but they devolved into putting in shows. As far as I remember, like as of now, all right? First of all, tattoos cannot be Russian shills because they positioned themselves as lesbians, and that's a big no-no in the terrorist federation, because if there's a slightest suspicion, you're like proclaimed extremist straight away, all right? Also, they don't live in Russia, again, as far as I remember. I can be wrong, but I don't think they live in Russia. Some of those girls, at least one of them, she has an asylum somewhere in like Netherlands. The other one I don't know. I often hear Ukrainian teens play Russian music, not all the time, but I'm unsure how to react. So they do, and I tell you that music is something... like this topic is very fucked up, my friend, because there were cases when I would literally punish soldiers as much as I could by, for example, making them remove the toilet stalagmites. All right, exactly for that shit. I don't know. I don't know. Russian cultural expansion is a cancer, 100%. So not only Ukrainian teenagers, but generally before the full-scale Russian invasion. Currently, I didn't see such cases. I didn't hear such cases among the Ukrainian soldiers. But before the full-scale Russian invasion, I would sometimes encounter that, all right? And that would lead to some sobering talks, all right, with the personnel. Because that's very hard to fight. Pavlova was a famous dancer that visited New Zealand. I don't really know Pavlova though. Ellie is going to kill me. If you talk about spiders, she will, my friend. She definitely will. The other day I made this review on my side channel dedicated to the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I actually encountered a living spider while making a review of an aircraft in the simulator. The dude was crawling on the electric socket, alright? It was freaking huge. Well, maybe not that big, alright, but it looked huge. Shit, it was unexpected. In Kherson, I met a police woman who hid during the whole time of the occupation. Yeah, and another good thing about Kherson is actually that we managed to toilet stalagmites. We will talk about this. Yeah. So another good thing is that the Russian collaborationists in Kherson, they also woke up to the sounds of Ukrainian vehicles entering the city, and we captured a lot of collaborationists that were involved into committing crimes against the local population, and they're now in the jail. How to send Ali back to bed? Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good option, Ali. Yeah, I believe that this dude is actually crawling here somewhere, maybe even under the table. Oh my god. When I talk about spiders, I can literally feel them crawling, over my legs. It starts getting ticklish everywhere. She will kill me. So speaking of the toilet stalagmites, this one is something that most military encountered when they served somewhere in winter, all right? And because majority of my deployments took place in winter, that is basically when you have it, when you build a field toilet, all right? Like a proper toilet, like the wooden platform with a bunch of holes, all right, with walls and everything else. And because it's winter, eventually the stalagmite, is it stalactite or stalagmite, the one that grows upwards? Please let me know. I think it's a stalagmite. So the stalagmite starts growing, all right? It peeks out of the hole at you. And basically you ask a soldier to take like a stick, all right, like a spear, and go and destroy the stalagmite. So this is how it works. And for example, if there is a soldier, like there's always a soldier, all right, who did something wrong, so he will have time to actually understand his mistake, all right? He has a chance to prove his combat worthiness by actually spearing that stalagmite, all right? That's what makes it. Oh yeah, especially if it's like minus 35 outside, all right, and the stuff is very hard to destroy. Why am I laughing so much? To us, it's not a humor. To us, it was like everyday's life, all right. But like it's kind of funny depending on how you look at it, all right. Because that's exactly what it looks like. Like, the dude, like Primal Hunt, 1 million years ago, or 100,000 years ago, the dude with the spear, like literally approaching the toilets. You go like, be brave, hunter, right? And the dude goes inside and just starts like, hacha, huara, killing that bastard. Yeah. Did any of them start making shit sculptures? No, Paul, they didn't. We are not Russians, all right? Russians are known for making shit sculptures. They're freaking famous. But we didn't. So, all right. I think it's a good time, all right, to switch to the main topic of today's video, which is cringy Russian musicians. All right. In Russia, before the full-scale invasion, there was this cult of Russian military music. I don't know how to explain it better, but it's like Russia always had plenty of, I feel cringy calling them veterans, participants of the Russian wars, all right? So there were Russians who served, for example, in Afghanistan. There were Russians who served in Vietnam. Yes, in Vietnam. Russians who served in Cuba, even, you know, but still. Russians who served in Armenia, Karabakh. Russians served, fucking fought, all right, committed war crimes in a foreign country. Russians who fought in the war in Abkhazia, in Pridnestrovia, Chechnya again, Georgia, Syria, Ukraine, African countries, South American countries, a lot, all right? So in Russia, there's a lot of like former military people, let's call it this way. It was like that all the time. And of course, they were a very good target audience, for example, for the Russian musicians who actually wrote a lot of songs about war and everything else. And it was like a trend. So in Russia, they had several specific Russian musicians that were actually writing songs and playing songs for those people, right? And there are basically two target audiences. One target audience is all the Russians who served or fought and committed war crimes. And the second target audience is, yeah, Pridnestrovia is Transnistria. Yeah, thank you so much. The second target audience is a target audience of like teenagers or Russian youngsters growing up and willing to become a cannon fodder for Putin, all right? Because Putin rules Russia for a quarter of a century as of today, and the majority of those wars Putin actually started, all right, in the 20th and 21st century. So there were several Russian musicians who actually wrote songs for them. One of them, Alexander Rosenbaum, all right. Here you can see him on the pic, all right, like this dude here. When we talk about Alexander Rosenbaum, usually, like in my case specifically, usually the imagination draws like this bald-headed mustache dude wearing striped shirt, you know, that cringy shit, and with a guitar, all right, and singing songs about Russian Spetsnaz, singing songs about Afghanistan and shit like that. That is his image, all right? That is the stereotype about this dude. He had, I cannot say that he had bad voice, of course. Well, guys, come on, they're artists, they're trained, all right? So he was one of those. And looking at this picture, you can see that the dude has a colonel rank, all right? You may ask, like, where did he serve? So the answer is he actually didn't, all right? He was granted the rank by the Russian regime. Just, just because, just why not, all right? And because he was granted a rank, he can now basically wear the uniform and go to the parades and, pose like a real military, all right? Like a real military. I want to address this one real quick. I supported Chechnya when they were fighting the Russians, so bugged they flipped. So they didn't flip, my friend. One of the tiny let's call it clans in Chechnya, specifically the Kadyrov's clan, that one flipped, all right? The rest of the guys, they had to withdraw to the territory of European Union and other countries. So those guys didn't flip. They just had no other option but to save their families and just withdraw from Chechnya. Because Kadyrov, his second name is Kafirov, actually, among the real Chechens. They hate him for that. He actually betrayed the whole Chechnya, the whole movement, all right? And Kadyrov is absolutely hated around the world by real Chechen people. So they didn't flip. Kadyrov was bought, Kadyrov was purchased like a sex toy by Putin and basically used like one. So they didn't flip. And by the way, today plenty of Chechens returned from European Union to Ukraine. They joined the unit that is called the unit of Jahar Dudayev, the peacekeeping battalion of Jahar Dudayev. And they fight units like Akhmat, all that shit. They fight it fiercely, all right? Those guys are legit. So they were and they remain heroes, in my eyes personally. The Kafirov and his Akhmat shit, that is a big disgrace not only for the Muslim world but also for Chechen people, all right? They feel cringy when we call Kadyrovites Chechens. They actually ask, guys, please don't call them Chechens, all right? We feel very, very cringy when you do that. So the true Chechens are still there, and the true Chechens are still fighting. Kadyrov is a piece of shit. He's nothing. He's not a Chechen. So returning to our topic, all right? Oh, this dude! Oh my God! He was given the rank. He was given a rank as an artist. All right, according to different Russian media, he's like, he has some experience in something like medicine, all right, but I don't know how much reliable is that. He was given rank because he was singing about war, about service, and all that jazz. How soon will the US will be able to restart the supply of defense weapons to Ukraine? Not earlier. Oh my God, I'm losing it. Not before the government starts actually working in the United States. All right, when the budget for the government services is adopted, only after that the support will be restored. So Rosenbaum, let's check out some pictures. Zambaum. I remember where the A letter is on this keyboard, right? Yeah, so looking at him, you can immediately understand what sort of music he does. There it is. There it is. Like there, on the right. That one's very, very, very typical. All right, so music about Russian Spetsnaz, the glorious deeds of the Russian soldiers in the times of the World War II. I don't know, raping German women, all right, in Berlin, like that kind of glorious deeds of the Russian army and things like that. He also sings just a bit, all right, about the Tsarist army, but not like really much. He couldn't sing about that in the Soviet times, but whatever. That is his shit. Like he sings about the Russian Spetsnaz, Afghanistan, the desert, the Russian helicopters, and yada yada. That's so cringy. He was very popular, all right. He sang a lot for the Russian troops. Actually, here you can see him on board of a Russian ship, and even here, all right, even on this photo, like that is like very, very typical Alexander Rosenbaum, very typical, all right, wearing that berezka shit, camouflage, the striped, like what is the purpose of camo, all right? The purpose of camo is to blur your silhouette, all right, in the environment. What's the point of wearing the striped shirt? It's like you're fucking visible from 1 million miles away. Alright? Jesus Christ. But that's again the camo and the striped shirt, all that. Russians wear that not because they want to blend with the environment or whatever. That's because there's like symbols, alright? Symbols of the Russian berezka shit, the striped underwear, because that's generally their underwear, all right. That's also, and for Yuma, actually they have pink, not pink, it's like red/pink striped shirts, all right. They are worn by the Russian Rosgvardia, all that stuff. Yeah, I would feel like, I don't know, my friends, personally, I brought a lot of different artists, all right, to my guys. In 2019, 2020, there were different Ukrainian artists that would go to see our guys at the front, not specifically at the positions, of course. Sometimes I would bring them to, but like close to the front lines, all right, and play for our guys, perform for them. They would never wear the military uniform because they were always saying, like, guys, we are wearing civilian stuff. We don't have right to wear the military uniforms. We didn't serve. You guys are serving. You're wearing this, and we have no right to wear it. All right, this shit. What the fuck? Oh my god. I don't know. So he didn't serve, of course, but it's not a problem, all right? It's not a problem. He was given the big plus. Here he has this Andreevsky flag, the Russian Navy flag. Really? Okay, wait a second. I gotta check this one out. So, on this photo, he's wearing a Navy uniform. Yes. The anchor, all that stuff. The anchors. All right, this one is Navy. All that shit you can see on his chest, all right? That's, of course, not for participation in the battle. This might be for like 60 years of great victory, all right? This might be like happy birthday Brezhnev. This might be like happy birthday Yeltsin or Putin, just like that. So like nothing special, just a bunch of shit to show off. So yeah, I think that he's wearing Navy uniform and performing, and oh my, that like and the amount of awards is growing every single fucking day. Like the amount of Russian flags on this uniform, That is like, he looks like a freaking clown. I don't know if he's able to pass somewhere, you know, to walk past a mobile tower, because this shit can actually grill him immediately, all right? If he walks past the MTS mobile tower, that's dangerous for his life. He might get stuck to one, all right, because of the amount of the metal he's carrying. All right. the North Koreans, yeah, actually I see why the related YouTube video is dedicated to the North Korean medals and awards. I understand, I see that. Okay. Matt, I feel sorry for the guitar. Don't feel sorry, my friend, because that's a Russian guitar, I think. Let me double check this. I think that's a Russian guitar. That might be a Russian guitar. I don't see any signs of it being like an Epiphone or whatever, Gibson Les Paul. Of course, he could afford that, but I think that's like a Russian guitar. Especially on the old Soviet pictures, yeah. Yeah, I think that's Russian guitar. Russian guitar, don't be sorry for that. Russian guitars suck balls so much, so I cannot express my feelings, all right? It's I had opportunity to touch one, all right? My dad played Russian shed, like Soviet shed, because there were no proper music instruments. He played some of the Soviet shed. I had opportunity to like touch one live, all right? You don't want to even emerge, to even find yourself in the same room with the Russian music instruments, all right? That's freaking ridiculous. So the next one that I would like to review is actually even more cringy than this character over here, because we are going to talk about the... I am not a robot, I swear. Yandex? Fuck you, Yandex. Can I just fucking Yandex. Alright, I can do it this way. Rastorguyev. Oh my god. This is another Russian singer, alright. His name is Nikolai Rastorguyev. He was a singer of a popular Russian band called Lyubya. I think they still play, maybe, I don't know. But if we're talking about the Nikolai Rastorguyev, of course, we're talking about his image, wearing Russian, whatever, uniforms, alright. My god, how to show this to you? Like that, alright. It looked very cringy. So he was wearing like this old Russian gymnasterka, that Russian uniform, the old one, alright, with like partupeya. How to translate partupeya? My dear friends, please let me know. I'm losing words. The leather-ish stuff. I don't know. Maybe he was into like BDSM at some point. Maybe he was. Yeah, here you can see the Nikolai Rastorguyev together with Mr. Huilo, right? And did you guys see me in that dress? The girls stuck me in when I dared them. Yeah, test. So on his shows, sorry for showing his face on the full screen, like I admit that it's extremely cringy. That is like what his performances, alright, looked like. Wearing all this stuff. Is there some reason for jodhpurs as pants in Russia? I think like collective insanity. Probably that's the answer. Maybe. Oh my God. Like, Jesus Christ. Beautiful Russian faces on your screen. I'm sorry for that. Nikolai Rastorguev. Show me like yourself, Rastorguev. Oh my God. There you have it. All right. Like, there you have it. Again, you can imagine what sort of... yeah, I feel sorry for his microphone. Yes, my friend. You can imagine what sort of music he was playing against against the... all the reasoning, all right? Against the reason. So, again, I'm losing words. Like, there you have him, like singing about the great patriotic war, which, by the way, again, just to remind you, it started for Russians not in like 1939, for example. It started in 1941 for Russians. Why? Because that's when Russian allies, the Nazi Germany, actually attacked Russia. That is when the Second World War actually started for them. Okay, before that they were happily tearing apart Poland together, having like the mutual military parades and all that jazz. So he was singing songs about the Great Patriotic War. He was singing songs about not only the Red Army. Again, later he also mentioned, all right, just some Russian terrorists. Who the hell is that? Is that fucking Conan or something? I don't know. Gandalf. Gandalf is not a traitor. I think that's some Russian cosplay. Yeah, that's the dude. Russians had these series, all right? Spetsnaz serial. All right. So Russians had those series about the Russian Spetsnaz, involving all sorts of Russian degenerates, bodybuilders, of course, and yada yada. And in these series, of course, they portrayed that magical Orthodox Russian Spetsnaz using their mind bullets, their levitation capabilities, their huge experience, all those like fingerless tactical gloves and shit like that. So they were portraying all that stuff, all right, for naive Russian kids who actually watched all that shit. They were raised with the idea that Chechens are bad, the Ukrainians are bad, and all that jazz. Americans are bad by default, of course, guys. Like, if you're watching this, all sitting somewhere in New Zealand, Australia, United Kingdom, France, Germany, you were bad, of course, 100%. They were portrayed as superhumans, all right, in those series. So this fuck actually made a soundtrack for them. He made a music video featuring. Can I find it? I will risk, all right. I will risk and try to find it for you real quick. I will not be playing this music for obvious reasons, but at least. I will give you a glimpse of what the shit looked like. 15 million views, really? Oh my god. Yeah, so like this crap, like Russian helicopters, and there you can see him. All right, he's not wearing uniform anymore. That is like evil Chechen right there. All right, their biggest nemesis. All right, the biggest nemesis, and Nikolai Rastorguyev is not wearing uniform here. Apparently, he was told not to. All right, just in case. There you can see the actors, all right, in this movie, and like those heroic Russian spetsnaz. That dude is an imbecile. Heroic Chechen fighter, by the way, right? And the very song is about let's drink for Russian army, let's drink for Russian victories, let's drink for Russian spetsnaz, all that jazz. He's cringy, okay, he's very cringy because he's a representative of this amazing Russian culture of Russian spetsnaz. We talked about that in some of the streams where we reviewed the Russian martial arts. Did he collab with Michael Jackson? I really hope they will soon at some point, all right, because he doesn't look younger, all right, and I think they will eventually. Yeah, that one is like he and Steven Seagal are basically the same sort of shit, all right. So here he's representative of this Russian culture of Russian spetsnaz, Russian army, Berezka camouflage, the striped shirts, all that stuff, all right? All the cringiest things you can even find online about the Russian army, besides the fact that they sent their people into meat assaults, all right, riding donkeys and stuff like that. Fighting for 2 years around a tiny village that is as big as 15 square miles, and showing this as something absolutely heroical, because that's exactly the way they fought in Chechnya, by the way. The Chechnya itself is the size of Kiev Oblast. It's not a big country. And they burned thousands of Russians in the absolutely ridiculous attacks. Grozny is a tiny town, all right? Again, compared to Kyiv, for example. Grozny is a tiny town, and they lost brigades there for nothing. Nikolai Rastorguyev, the top cringe on the Russian stage, but probably not as top as Shaman. Let's talk about Shaman, because Shaman nowadays is probably the cringiest one, right? Shaman. So this Russian Nazi is actually very popular, but not as popular as Russians try to present, because according to the different polls, he's not even in top, I believe not even in top 10 of the most popular Russian artists, simply because his music sucks, alright, let's be honest. But he's like a supporter of Russian Nazism. You can basically see that, alright, here. This is what the Russian so-called anti-fascists look like, alright? And you can also imagine, for example, all those young Russian teens from the Putler-Jugend, right, wearing brown shirts and red berets, forced to listen to him, all right? That stuff is insane. Yeah, in his performances, he likes to press that red button time to time, you know, like red button. He's not gay, actually. For Yuma, he's not gay. He recently had a wedding in Donetsk, which, by the way, was the worst choice ever, because in Donetsk they don't have running water. You cannot flush the water after yourself, all right, in the toilet, because basically that town, the city was completely obliterated by Russian regime, all right. It was some of the most intact cities in Donbass, and Russia completely obliterated it with neglecting the needs of the citizens and all that stuff. So he is like the Russian guys. He is Russian anti-fascist. He is the anti-fascist. All right, that's what he calls himself. I forgot the name of a different one with Kalashnikov shooting hearts. That one was cringy. Vineta, Stileta. Shit, I forgot. It was a different sort of cringe, alright? It was like Russian popular cringe. But this one is the top notch, alright? He is the representation of Russian anti-fascism. He's the cringiest one, I think, in my personal opinion. Honorable mentions go to the other Russian artists that support the Russian invasion, and that is something that I wanted to understand for a while, because, for example, this is Russian singer Gazmanov. Also, he was like singing for Russian military all the time, and something wrong is happening to all the Russian singers who support Russian terrorism, all right? Because like, I understand that they don't become younger. That's like very clear. Here, for example, you can see Gazmanov when he was comparably young, and he looked normal. Here you can see this fucker today. Like, something horrible, all right, is happening. Like, again, him posing with male reproductive organ there on the left. Something wrong is happening to the Russian artists, all right, who actually start supporting the Russian terrorism. I have no idea why. Take Valeria, all right. Valeria was maybe drugs. I think this disease is called Ruski Mir. Valeria. Oh my God. Ria. That's what she looked like, all right, before she started supporting Putin. And basically, no, guys, that's like not her recent pictures, okay? That's still when she was young. Valeria E. Gazmanov. Yeah, I think this one is what we should look like. That's Valeria, and the Gazmanov, the one that we just, oh my God, the one that we had a chance to see, right, on the previous image. Like, that's when they were young. There was a different picture. Like, that's basically what the zombies look like today, and this one is actually good, all right? He became good. He became better. That's Kobzon. And when Ukrainians say that, for example, Prigozhin received a ticket to Kobzon's concert, that's exactly what we're referring to, all right? It means that a Russian national became better, all right? Gazmanov and Valeria, so they changed so much, so today it's even hard to understand who is who, and I'm looking really hard to find this image, but for some reason in the Russian internet it's just freaking absent. I don't know why. My God, I hope that I will find it. Gazmanov, Valeria и Gazmanov. my God, without makeup, all right, без грима. That maybe this will work, okay? Because there was a photo where they look identical. You cannot tell who is who actually. Did they clean the pictures from the internet? I don't know. They could. Anyways. So Valeria, another supporter of the Russian terrorism, she would go to like Crimea when it was occupied. She would go to Donetsk. She would perform there. Sing whatever shit she sings. Again, we're not gonna play this stuff because their music is absolutely disgusting, alright? Never liked it. And another honorable mention goes to Chicherina. Oh shit. Chicherina. So this lady, again, she was like, I cannot call her ugly, of course, all right, when she was young, but then later something happened to her. She started evolving, all right. She started evolving, and she evolved into, well, basically like something like that. Like she I don't know, maybe drugs, of course, I don't deny. Maybe drugs are involved as well. She started visiting all sorts of terrorists in Crimea, in Donbass and stuff. And the more she visited them, the more she was like evolving, all right, or degrading. It depends on how you look at it. So now she looks basically like this, all right. She looks very, very sad. I don't know. That's her young. She was actually attractive. Like, that's her today, and she's not even that old, actually. But again, she's one of the cringy Russian characters, singing about, oh my God, Jesus Christ, that's like alien invasion right there. Singing about Russian fascism, singing about, like death to the West and things like that. She's a very, very cringy persona. Like that. You see, she was pretty much okay when she was, before she started supporting the Russian terrorism. And basically it changed her. It changed her very, very much. Very much. All right. Not sure if we call it an evolution or degradation. Anyways, she actually looks ill. I agree. Totally insane. Absolutely. What I wanted to show you. Yeah. Oh my God. So, just a few of the Russian artists actually served in the armed forces. There is Agutin. Agutin is like me, all right? Agutin is, like this Russian artist using plenty of Latin motifs, all right? Latin motifs in his music, actually. He sings about the Caribbean islands and stuff like that because he's such a good Russian musician. So he served, some more people served, but there's one specific Russian artist who actually served, all right? Who actually served. Not a lot of them did, but one specific Russian artist actually did serve. Meet, my God. Where is the O letter? Jesus Christ, friends, give me just a second until I find. Aha, it's here. O is J. Give me just a second until I find. all the necessary letters here. Yeah. So this Russian artist actually served in the military, all right? Meet Boris Moiseyev, the openly recognized Russian gay artist who actually never supported the war in Ukraine. Never. All right. Before the full-scale invasion, he actually opposed it and stuff like that. For you might be confused because there are no gays in Russia, right? And you are right, because this artist actually died. He died, I believe, that very year when Russia invaded. He was an open gay, and actually Russians were keeping him, just to show that Russia is such a democratic country. Look, we even have gays in Russia. Check this out. So he died. Of course, I believe that his name is deeply forgotten and abandoned in Russia. But we just saw fucking Rastorguyev, we just saw fucking Rosenbaum wearing uniforms, stolen valor in its essence, alright, on their shows, who never served in the army. This dude actually did. How crazy is that? Yeah, so he died. He didn't support the war in Ukraine, and he was actually a very, very good friend with another Russian artist. That is considered a big tragedy in terms of the Russian stage, because we are going to talk about the Russian prima donna, about the glorious and I cannot call her famous, because that will be an understatement, all right? She was famous already in the Soviet Union, and she was known way beyond the borders of the Soviet Union. Alla Pugacheva, all right? I found the letter G. How cool is that? So, Alla Pugacheva, let's talk about her. One thing I can say, again, you know that I prefer rock music, I prefer metal, I never listen to pop, and especially the estrada, the Russian popular whatever. She has a really good voice, 100%. She's like one of the iconic Russian singers. Think Whitney Houston meets Barbara Streisand meets Celine Dion. She's from Canada, but well, whatever. She turned out to be against the war in Ukraine. On the other hand, let's be honest, when Russia occupied Crimea, when Russia occupied Donbass, 2014 and all the way until 2022, of course, she never openly said that you are doing wrong, all right? She never said that you are motherfuckers, actually. What are you doing with Ukraine? No, she didn't. At the same time, she kept good relations with some Ukrainian stars, with Tina Karol, yeah. They had very, very good relations. She was supporting. There are rumors that she supported Ukrainian defenders already back in those days, but who knows? I cannot neither confirm nor disconfirm this one. But generally, she wasn't the one who would go yay, Russian army. She would be meh, the fuck. The Russian invasion of Ukraine started, and she, together with her whole family, moved out from the fucking terrorist federation to Israel, I believe, where she resides now, until today. The reason I'm talking about her is so you could understand the level of Russian frustration. Because again, not like I admire this woman, not like I'm her big fan. Here you can see her even with Putin, right? Because she was a Russian national artist, all right? She was awarded by every single Russian ruler, every single Russian Tsar, not because she was supporting like invasions or anything else, but because she was a good singer, all right? But she was enormously popular. She was the person the whole Russia was proud of, all right? That's the level of the tragedy in the Terrorist Federation, because Pugacheva was the Russian icon. She was like Montserrat Caballé. She was on the stage, of course, like not in the theater, in terms of popular music, all right? She was like Barbara Streisand. Imagine Cher, all right? Imagine Cher wakes up, walks out with the statement that fuck you, I support Russian terrorism, and she goes straight to North Korea, all right? How would that make you feel? I mean, at some level, no matter where you are in the United States, you would feel just a bit devastated, all right? Or like James Hetfield goes like, oh, fuck you, and he just goes straight to China, all right, and receives Chinese citizenship, all right? Like, you don't see that happening at all, because that is something absolutely fucking insane. But that's exactly what we could observe here in this case, because Pugacheva at some point said, fuck you, and she just moved out, and now she's openly talking, she's condemning Putin, she's condemning all that shit. Her husband at some of his concerts as well said, glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes. And the Russian frustration because of that is actually very hard to comprehend, because they condemned Pugacheva completely. She was the voice of the Russian stage for, like, she's an old lady for almost a fucking century, all right? And eventually she just, at some point, she's just gone from the whole Russian musical space. She just disappeared. She was brought to all sorts of Russian musical competitions and contests as a grand jury member, because she was well respected in the among the Russian musicians. When you talk Russian music, Soviet music, Pugacheva, of course, that's the only last name that comes to your mind. And eventually she did like this. As soon as the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine started, she just like Vafanapoli, and she went to Israel, and the whole Russian society was devastated because of that. They were like, how come our icon turned out to be a fucking traitor, all right? And basically that is the reason why they try to supplant the emptiness, all right, in the Russian music industry left after she departed. They tried to supplant that with freaks like Shaman, with those Valeria or Gazmanov, who look identical, all right, probably because they take the same sort of drugs. This case is so symbolic, all right, because you don't see that happening much in the modern world. And that is, again, something that Russians don't really like to talk about, because to them that is literally a tragedy. Putin considers collapse of the Soviet Union the biggest tragedy, all right, in the history of the terrorist federation. The real tragedy for Russians is actually Pugacheva betraying Russia. It turns out that she doesn't support the freaking Russian invasion of Ukraine. She's not a Russian fascist, all right? Like, fuck Pugacheva, like, hate Pugacheva, condemn Pugacheva. So that's one of the cases of the Russian cringe that I really wanted you to know, because This is something Russians never talk. You don't find much of that in on the internet, all right, on the English-speaking internet. Will Zemfira lose her Z? That's another interesting question. Let me check this out. I need to double check. I know that Zemfira didn't support the Russian invasion of Ukraine between 2014 and 2022. Almighty ChatGPT, welcome thee to my stream. It's very good to see you. Hello to you and much love from all of our dear friends and family. So, I have a question. There is this slash Russian slash Crimean slash Tatar singer called Zemfira. Does she support Russian terrorism? Does she support the Russian invasion of Ukraine? Or does she not? Please let me know.
Absolutely. So it looks like Zemfira has actually been pretty clear about her position. She's been openly against the invasion of Ukraine. In fact, she put out an anti-war video and even got labeled a foreign agent by the Russian government because of her stance. So yeah, she's definitely not on the side of supporting the invasion.
That's very good to know. Thank you so much. Glory to Ukraine and much love from our dear family there in the chat. You are a legend.
You're absolutely welcome. And hey, I'm glad I could help clear that up. Sending lots of good vibes your way and to everyone hanging out with you.
So, Zemfira doesn't support the Russian terrorism. Where is she now? Because I think that retired music teacher here feeling a bit queasy. Sophia, that's so good to have you here, by the way. Oh my God. So she doesn't support Russian terrorism. Will she lose her Z? I have no idea. Sometimes we have to admit that a letter is just a letter, regardless of what sort of sense the sick Russian mind is trying to implant in it, all right? Because after all, yes, Russian Z is recognized as Russian swastik, all right? It's banned in numerous countries. It's banned in different spheres of our lives. But on the other hand, like what do we do? Do we ban Z from the alphabet? Let's better ban Russians, all right? Like that's the best solution to this problem, I think. Banning Russians instead of banning alphabet, that will be better. So I don't see her losing that, but I don't see her using that shit much. Ukrainian band Yukis, by the way, my good friends, the Bogdan Butkevich and all those guys, the guys that were playing the Irish music with Ukrainian words in Ireland. Remember, I showed them to you. So the band was called Yukis with the Z. So they changed it, actually. They changed it to Yukis with the S. It's always better with the S. So that's the case. Zemfira, I don't know. She can call herself Zemfira like in Deutsch, all right? In Deutsch, she can literally write her name starting with the S, all right? She will be still pronounced as Zemfira anyways, which, by the way, is a good solution. But is she still in the terror Russia or not? I have no idea. I forgot to ask the ChatGPT, by the way. Is that a paid option, the way it's like a conversation? So I subscribed to ChatGPT because it helps me to do some research and also helps my lady with her mechanical engineering. So we have the subscription, but at the same time, it was there before, all right? I just downloaded the application. It works without any subscription, but I think eventually after several questions, it stops responding smartly, all right? So it costs something like Less than $20, I think. Less than $20 a month. I used to tell my students that music is a language that doesn't lend itself well to transition in other languages and to lying. Yeah. I also think so, right? Because again, when you listen to losers like Shaman, that's his music sucks. Russian, like who else? Timothy, Russian rapper slash whatever, best friend of Ramzan Kadyrov. His music is low quality and it sucks, and like I don't even know. Morgenstern. What do you think of I Speak Zag, the Russian favorite band? I Speak Zag, oh my god. Cheryl, I'm not their biggest fan at all, alright? Like, at some point... 100%. That's dead, babe. That's dead. Who's that? That's dead. I'm not the biggest fan. At some point I had to listen to them because Russian cultural expansion in Ukraine was enormous, like in any other post-Soviet country. And we had this absolutely low-quality, stupid, ridiculous Russian trash called Russian pop playing in different places, all right? 2015, when Ukrainians introduced quotas on the Russian chat, I was one of the happiest Ukrainians because all of a sudden Ukrainian bands started emerging. Zhenya and Katya, the guys that I played for you a couple of weeks ago, people like them started emerging on the Ukrainian stage, and all of a sudden we discovered so many crazily cool Ukrainian bands, so many great songs that literally were not popular in Ukraine because if you want to be a successful producer, for example, of course you have to have good connection either with mafia or with like pro-Russian government, and if you are in good relations with the pro-Russian mafia, they will never allow you to play high-quality Ukrainian songs. And that they will tell you like, listen, Timothy, like that dude, all right, Kadyrov's best friend, we want Timothy to be rotated on the Ukrainian radio like 50% of the time. And you will be like, yes, sir. All right, because otherwise you will lose everything. And after the revolution of dignity, when Ukrainian bands, Ukrainian culture started thriving and people realized, oh my God, we have dubbing for Hollywood movies in Ukrainian language in such an impressive quality, friends. When I look when I watch, for example, American movies, all right, with Ukrainian dubbing, I really wish you guys to learn Ukrainian language because that is like a separate kind of art in Ukraine. That is, I cannot tell you how cool is that. And all the bands, all the music, Ukrainian movie makers, again, started emerging, and all that was just so cool. Something was cringy, for example, first Ukrainian horror movie, the Shtolnya was kind of meh. Yeah, it was a good comedy, though. But again, Ukrainian singers, Ukrainian music is a treasure, all right? Ukrainian music is a treasure. Ukrainians are the singing nation. We sing when we feel good, when we feel bad. We can express any emotion, whatever complexity is, all right? Ukrainians can express this emotion through music and through song. And this is something that makes us unique, I would say, like any other nation, all right, that has something unique. Ukrainians are unique because of our music. And when the quotas were introduced and it was told that at least 50% of Ukrainian music should be in Ukrainian on the radio, on the television, how crazy is that? In a Ukrainian country, right? Like 50% of music must be Ukrainian. Ooh, that's fascism. So a lot of people actually discovered how cool it is to actually know more about our culture, about our roots, about our national treasures like Ukrainian music. And that is something absolutely cool about us. And I was so happy that fucking Russian trash literally disappeared from Ukrainian radios. Oh my god. And for example, some vatnik driving a bus and listening to some Russian shit, people would look at him like, dude, are you for real? Like, what the fuck is that shit, you know? So, my Ukrainian grandmother sang all the time. My friends, all Ukrainian songs are also like, now I start understanding this. When I was a kid studying somewhere in the school, I was dumb, all right? I didn't know how rich is Ukrainian music generally. I didn't know how complicated, how complex are Ukrainian songs, even the folk songs, all right? Check out Mila Jovovich singing Ою гаю при Дунаю. Can we do that? Just a second. Mila Jovovich. You might be surprised to learn that Mila Jovovich, the fifth element, that she is actually Ukrainian. Mila Jovovich. She has quite a few songs in Ukrainian language. Here, for example, I will throw it for you in the chat because it's in Ukrainian, and also I will throw it here. Let's check it out just briefly, all right? Because why not? The internet is absolutely fantastic, as always. That's a Ukrainian song. That's a folk Ukrainian song. Very, very old one, by the way. And it's very, very beautiful. So I was dumb because I didn't know the value of Ukrainian legacy, of Ukrainian music, you know, all that stuff. And the more I start understanding this, the more I hope I will have enough years in my life, all right, enough years left to learn more about other countries as well and discover other cultures as well. Because music is a universal language that can do all sorts of things that you cannot do otherwise, through diplomacy, through war, through other things. You can talk to people through music. Yeah, so check this out. You're gonna love it, absolutely. Yeah, and Mila Jovovich, she has Ukrainian roots. She speaks Ukrainian, she sings Ukrainian. Resident Evil, yeah, GS, yeah. Whew. You know, I need some device. I had it like 20 years ago. I had like a pad, you put your coffee on it, and it's like a USB stuff. Like you put your coffee on it, and it keeps it warm. I think I need to find one because like I'm on restreaming for 2 hours already, and I recovered, by the way, after yesterday's dinner. It's had a big crush on her. Everyone did, my friend. Everyone did, me included. Like Fifth Element. Oh my God, when she appears in the movie. Bruce Willis was a lucky bastard, actually. Yeah. So I recovered after yesterday's dinner because I woke up 3 times at night to drink at least 1 liter of water every single time after that amazing fruit salad. Oh. It was unforgettable. The USB mug heater, yeah, that's the one. And you can also interrogate Russian prisoners using one. I mean, warming their coffee, of course, when you talk to them. What else what else did you think? Come on. How's the comedy going? Have you figured out if you're the funny man or the straight man? I've no idea. Hard to tell. I gotta refer to ChatGPT. USB heater cannot preserve heat. It's only 5 watt. Yeah, that's something that I noticed as well, because doesn't it doesn't keep the coffee at the necessary temperature level, because that's probably the reason why I stopped using that, right? USB-C. Ooh, that might be handy actually, because I have several USB-C ports. That might work. What is most favorite Ukrainian lullaby? I'll send it to you. All right. I'll send it to you. What's... no, not this one. So this one is not really a lullaby, but you can actually use it as one, all right? Oh my God. I would always fall asleep, while listening this one. But I'm looking for a specific version. No, this one's bad. Let me think. So, Letila Zazula might be one. The Chuku was flat. Oh. So, they have several versions. This one is good. All right, you can check this out and check the numerous versions of the same song. All right, and what else? Well, I consider that one my favorite. My grandma was singing this to me when I was like 3 years old. I remember this. And Newman, good day to you, my friend. Be safe. I remember that one, and basically that one was My favorites. I ordered handlebar warmers for my bike. They're USB. Oh, really? Oh my god. I didn't even know they have those. How cool is that? My mom used to sing French lullabies to us. I recently learned that one of them was about killing chickens. Killing chickens. My god. It happens. Yeah. On the other hand, if you live on a farm, like, you know, you ask anyone here on the street, like in the city, like, do you buy live fish? No, I cannot buy live fish because I cannot kill the live fish, all right, to cook it. People in the village, like, whatever, take. I'll tell you a story about my grandpa, right? My grandpa lived in the village his whole life before he went to Kiev. He had bunnies. Actually, I told this story to my lady the other day. It traumatized her, actually. He had bunnies, and he had bunnies, chicken, like all that stuff. And we were just together. I was like 4 or 5 years old. Me, my grandpa, and everybody else were somewhere else, all right? And I'm like, I wanted to just play in the orchard or something like that. And the grandpa is like, come on, you will help me, all right? I'm like, well, I want to play. He's like, come on, help me. Come on. Like, don't be a wuss. I'm okay. And grandpa takes me behind the house. He grabs a rabbit and he talks to me, and while he talks to me, he literally grabs the rabbit. He takes like a baton, like this, all right? With one hit, he breaks the bunny's neck. The bunny like dies instantly. I'm like, thank you very much, Grandpa. Thank you so fucking much for this. What did you just do? He's like, well, yeah, I just, you know, we're gonna have soup. And he takes, and before he takes a knife, he also shows me like, look, when they die, they pee. I'm like, fuck my life. Like, you know I'm 5 years old, or no. Like, and then he takes a knife and starts preparing the bunny. The people live in village. They don't care. That's what they're used to, all right? They are used to things like that. They're used to like decapitating chicken and everything else. That's a different sort of life, right? Yes, look, that's something I will never forget. I'm 40 years old. I still remember this. Like, Grandpa, I'm so grateful, you know, for what you just did. You have no idea. When they die, they pee. It's not a rule, though. That one peed. I could see in details when I was 5. In the village, for example, you have a pig, and there is a profession called koli, all right? Yeah, totally insane. Look, and he holds that body, all right? The body still moves a bit, and like. Fuck. So. we have a profession called koli. Koli is literally a dude with a sharp stick, sharp tool, all right? You feed the pig, all right, for a while. I mean, where sala comes from, the lard, comes from the pig. And Koli is actually the stabber. He's the dude who knows how to properly stop the pig from being alive and do all other things. So my neighbors, I think, in the village, I wasn't there, thank God. My father was and my uncle was. I think my neighbors wanted to make salo or something like that, or was it our pig? I don't remember. I don't know the details, but I know the story. The pig was running in the yard. We invited the stabber, all right, the dude, the poker, and there was my dad, my uncle, his wife, the stabber, and our neighbor, like an older man, a grandpa. And so they gathered and they're like, all right, let's get ready. Pig looks at them suspiciously like, what the fuck do you want from me, friends? Just leave me alone. They're like, all right, let's get it. And they start running around like catching the pig. Pig like runs away happily, you know, they're catching the pig. My uncle, he was at least like a bit overweight. You can imagine a person who worked in the university, for example, right? He's like very intelligent and everything else, a bit overweight. So all those men are like running after the pig. Pig like escapes, runs for its life, and eventually they catch the pig. They manage to do that somehow, and my dad forced me to smoke cigarette at 8 years of age. I coughed my lungs out, but I never smoked again in my life. The old school dads, all right, the old school dads, they're legendary. So they catch the pig, and the dude takes his tool, and that tool, like, it was so old. So in the beginning, apparently, it was like this old sharp stick, all right? But it was already so old from the age and sharpening all the time, so it shrank. And he starts stabbing the pig screams like crazy, you know, there's plenty of blood and all that gore and shit. And it doesn't die, because generally his only task is to stab the pig right in the heart, and then the pig collapses. He stabs her again and again. The pig screams like crazy. The scream is unbelievable. My aunt looks out a window and she's like, stop torturing that poor animal. My uncle was like losing consciousness and shit. So in the end, my dad goes to the house. He walks out with a fucking bayonet, like a real one. With a fucking bayonet, he stabs the pig, and the pig goes thank you and dies. And then they opened it. They saw that the heart was literally scratched from that shit, so bad. And the reason my father knew how to do that was because my grandpa, the one who showed me how the rabbit pees, he was also the stabber. He knew how to do that, all right? So he basically taught him, and like he knew it. I know it, by the way, even though I will never do that in my life, but I also know how to do that. So yeah, that was some crazy experience. On the other hand, the blood sausage is very, very good. That's, by the way, one of my favorites. That's when you make a sausage out of blood with buckwheat. It's just so good. It's delicious. Only because we were going cheap not to buy a shotgun. Apparently, you are right, my friends. That would solve a lot of problems, alright? Looks like you had file child. It was traumatic, my friends. I tell you that, but shit. Like, I don't know. I visited village several times, alright, when I was a kid. Again, if we had a choice, if we could just print burgers somewhere in the lab, all right, using 3D printer, I would stop buying meat myself. But unfortunately, because we don't have that yet, all right, in 2025, I cannot stop myself from eating meat because I will die. I run on meat and coffee. Anthony Bourdain did a show about the traditional way to prepare a kosher pig. He didn't show the dispatching, but did play the... Fuck. My God. Oh... You know, in the 90s when there was this widespread popularity of different VHS and everything else, there were several forbidden tapes. Of course, I'm not talking about the forbidden tapes hidden under the bed of your parents. You know, like those were not forbidden. They were actually very fun to watch. But the other ones, I remember one of those was called Faces of Death or something like that, where they were showing all sorts of freaking gore. And my friend in the school, he had that one. And sometimes he would invite us over. We were like, it was like 7th grade, and we were. He shows all that shit, like man with 2 penises, pig being torched alive and shit, and I'm like, look at that, like, what the? The guys are like, whoa, check this out! Oh my god! Oh my god! Like, am I weird, or do people like enjoy watching that? I have no idea. It is in between possible to grow meat artificially. Yes. Like, we can do that. And in fact, I saw, for example, the scientists literally growing the burger with the white meat. The meat itself was white because there was no blood in it, so they painted it using the beetroot. And they actually toasted the burger, and they say that it tasted well. But on the industrial scale, of course, it cannot supplant the chicken industry, the beef industry, and all that stuff. So just watch the war footage. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. When I look at Russians becoming better, for example, and I must say I watch it every single day, right? Because I'm monitoring all this stuff. I don't feel as bad as when I watched that when I was a kid. Or, for example, that poor rabbit. Oh my God, the poor rabbit could live and have plenty of tiny rabbits. I mean, like, we are all living creatures, and we all have equal right to live. This is what I believe. Except Russians. Fuck Russians. I need more coffee. So, first part of Faces of Death at 13 online. The internet was wild. My friend, when I was 13, the internet would not show video, alright, because I had the dial-up, the one that you dial the number and it goes, you know. and connects, and then you have the my god, the pictures would take forever to load, right? You would go to school and return after classes, and your favorite porn site would just stop loading. The speed was so bad. I remember the days when it would take like 5 years to download like 3-second long videos. So rabbits and pigs are innocent, invaders are not. Absolutely, absolutely. I agree on that. They get what they deserve. $14K band. Mine was something like 56. Something like that. I use Telnet for gaming. I tried. I remember. 28.8. That's 56K. Yeah. I remember I tried playing online when I was around like 13, 14. I had the game called Vietnam, I think, or Viet Cong. I don't remember. Like a first-person shooter. And it was good. I played online with the dude, and he would kill me every single time because, you know, I aim, I shoot, and then I'm dead. And I realized that the connection was so slow, so I would not be even able to shoot the enemy. The worst was when you'd wait for it to dial up and won't connect to the internet. Yeah, that was so bad. We would literally go to computer clubs and pay money to be able to use computer in the computer clubs. Not Battlefield Vietnam. It was literally something like something about the Green Berets, I think, in Vietnam, something like that. There were 2 parts of this game. It was really good. We ran into a deer when I was a kid, and Apaches immediately scooped it up into the back of their pickup truck. Roadkill. Oh. One thing that I find absolutely crazy about the nature in Germany, for example, is that you can see foxes. Like, you can drive at night, you can see foxes crossing the street. You can see like deers. We saw them a lot. There were several times I literally saw a deer in Ukraine, but it was like in the wild, all right? And here's like downtown. You can still see foxes just hanging around, bunnies. You're walking down the park, you can see really like wild bunnies here. Viet Cong 2003, yes, that's the one. It was very good as for 2003. Like, very good. Computers were not even in my school when I left. Because you sold them. Just kidding. You can roadkill a lot in Germany, absolutely. That is why you gotta be very, very cautious. But on the other hand, they have like fences installed everywhere, you know, along the parks and stuff. So it's actually a very rare occasion to see, for example, deer crossing the road. But the foxes, I see them a lot, actually. And it's not like I live on the outskirts of the city, but it's inside the city. I see them often. Here in Eastern Oregon, deer just wander the street. Canadians are laughing at us, I think. I had a ZX Spectrum with ping pong game. And I bet it looked so realistic, right, back then. Oh my god. The first Need for Speed game that I installed, and I saw the proper 3D, alright, I was like 13, maybe 12, I don't know. I saw the real 3D for the first time in my life. I was like, oh my god, this is so realistic. It was Need for Speed, either first or second part. I was like, this is so real. Oh my god, this is like in the real life. Look at the reflections. I once met a wolf in Germany. Sadly, by foot, I would have loved my car at that moment. I can tell. I can tell. But I don't think that they would really try to attack, because unless you are unless you are small, all right, they might attack you. But in most cases, from what I know, wolves are basically harmless, unless there's a lot of them, all right. Then you gotta look for a very, very tall tree. So Canadian wildlife, including bears, raccoons, rabbits, coyotes, run around in the major cities. Unfortunately, so do very, very big rats. Yeah. It was just staring at me. Yeah, that's mostly how they react. They try to understand what you are you dangerous or not? Because if there's only one wolf, that's the way it thinks. First, it thinks, what the hell is that? Second, it thinks, are you a threat? And only then it thinks, like, can I eat you? All right, like in this order. Sharks are not like that. Sharks just... so many people bitten by shark for a very simple reason. Not because they provoked them or something. The sharks taste things, all right? The sharks taste things to understand what those things are. For example, they taste a ship, they taste a human, all right? And literally because they have those hundreds of those sharp teeth, that's the reason why it's so dangerous, all right? Sometimes it's lethally dangerous. But generally, sharks don't bite everything just because they are crazy and they like to bite. That's because naturally they have this instinct of like tasting things to understand what they are. Sharks, yeah, sharks bite to figure out what it is, absolutely. If they had hands, of course, they would just, you're swimming somewhere, all of a sudden you feel like someone, like, touches you from behind. You turn around, that shark is like, oh, I'm sorry, dude, I just decided to touch you just to make sure that you're not a seal. I will just get the fuck out. But unfortunately, it's not the case. Like, the fucker will bite you and then it will be like, tastes like human, shit. Oh my god, I gotta wear my glasses next time. And it will just go away, alright? It will not even eat you. I live at the edge of the ancient woodland. We have red deer, fallow deer, and muntjac. The smoked shark I tried was so dry. Well, can you even eat them? Like, I know that people eat them, but Does it even contain like meat? Ocean scaring the shit out of him. Same here, my friend. Same here. I remember we were diving once, and what was it in Turkey? I think it was in Turkey. We were diving once, and we were diving from the ship, like not too far away from the shore. Right? I would never do that otherwise. But there were ladies, so I had no other choice. And I'm wearing those goggles. I dive from the ship, and first thing I see is like an enormous jellyfish, all right? And its tentacles go all the way down into that abyss, all right, into the darkness. And have you ever peed in the ocean? That was like my first experience. And I'm like, thank you so fucking much for this. Oh my god. Sharks don't contain meat, only teeth and pure fear. Absolutely. Good morning, John. How are you? Good morning to the beautiful California Oblast. Shark accumulates a lot of heavy metals like mercury. They accumulate different things because, for example, sharks that live in the colder waters, like Greenland sharks, those who live like 600 years and more. So they also have different chemicals that allow them to live deep in the water. So they smell like pee, and they're dangerous. However, I know that indigenous people in Greenland, for example, they know how to properly cook those sharks. We have sharks upriver in Missouri and Mississippi. Yeah, the sharks like bull sharks, for example, those are crazy. Because they don't give a damn. They can live in the fresh water. They just travel up and down the rivers, and it's crazy. Literally, meeting a shark in a river somewhere. That's insane. Doing good. Got my coffee. I got the remains of my coffee here as well, my friend. It's cold and still sweet though. The most dangerous shark is the lone shark, 100%. The one wearing a tracking suit, That one is nasty. All right, my dear friends, I will be probably having breakfast. It's exactly proper time for that. 3 p.m. here in Germany. I'll have my breakfast probably. And not sure about the evening stream. I will try, all right? Because I think it's a good idea to actually have several streams a day for both sides of the planet, all right? So with that, I thank you so much for staying with me, for sharing the cringe from watching the Russian musicians and all that jazz. Thank you, dear moderators. Newman has left us. Basically, we are here together. Ellie, come on. Why don't you sleep, please? I feel sorry, actually. I feel not comfortable for making you stay up so late or so early. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for your protection. And also, dear friends, thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Treat yourself with something good. And as always, stay safe.